confused. I know that the country is in bright hands whenever it goes into the hands of the NPP. It dims and plunges into darkness, literally into doomsday in the hands of the NDC. Yes, we got. By what I've said, governance is not about propaganda. It is about facts and figures. Governance is about facts and figures. The facts and figures speak for themselves. The Speaker, and I believe, as I've always said, that Ghanaians are very discerning. When the harvest time dawns, they know how to sift wheat from other produces. They know where their bread is buttered. They know under which regime this country grows in leaps and bounds. Mr. Speaker, God should bless our homeland Ghana and make the people bold and strong and thrive in a resilient economy that only the NPP offers. Mr. Speaker, I thank you very much.
Honorable members, the majority leader has used 49 minutes, 11 seconds. Majority leader, yes. I think it's now time to listen to the prayer of the Minister of Finance.
Mr. Speaker, thank you very much indeed for this opportunity to be here with my prayer to you. Mr. Speaker, in listening to both the majority and the minority, it is clear that there are deep divisions in where we want to go as a nation. Mr. Speaker, in the 5 budgets that we brought for the year, we have, as a House and as a nation, been able to put a budget to the people of Ghana by consensus. And Mr. Speaker, this is very important as we look to the unity of the country. I have heard the passion with which the minority leader engaged us, and I've also listened throughout the past 10 days what have been said in the media. We've also equally heard what we the majority have also believed in. Mr. Speaker, we are at a crucial point in our history in which the President has proposed the establishment of a sustainable entrepreneurial nation, ensuring that during that process we shall, Mr. Speaker, have fiscal consolidation and job creation. So, Mr. Speaker, there are 3 main things that we are trying to tackle: the issue of debt, the issue of employment, and the issue of infrastructure through revenues. And revenues, Mr. Speaker, has been illustrated. We are way behind our peers. My prayer to you, Mr. Speaker, is to enable me to engage with the minority, extended caucus, leadership, and also with the majority before the question is put to vote. Mr. Speaker, it is important that we leave this House, this budget, a people with one language, Mr. Speaker, we must recognize the times that we are in, Mr. Speaker. And like the sons of Issachar in First Chronicles, we have to understand our times and to know what we must do as a nation. We must, Mr. Speaker, speak one language so that nothing will be restrained from us as a country. Mr. Speaker, this is going to require some burden sharing on all of our parts, and therefore the big elephant in the room is the one on E11. Mr. Speaker, this is an important and critical introduction, and I'm sure we can work on it in committee level to make it more efficient. But we cannot be afraid of it. We have nothing to fear itself if we don't make a decision. So I implore you, Mr. Speaker, that you give me the opportunity to further engage our people and the minority, as Ghanaians always do, so in tandem, together with language. We are a united country. We are a unique country. We must protect that sociology. Mr. Speaker, I beg for that prayer to be agreed to. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Honorable members, as a House, we have always put across to the executive that it is important during the process of the preparation of the budget to engage Parliament earlier. So in 2009, as the majority leader, I led the House to prepare even a draft bill so that Parliament could be engaged earlier on in the preparation of the budget. Because as representatives of the people, we need to make inputs at that level and make sure that the policy priorities of the country, particularly looking at our development paradigm, are complied with. The budget is usually prepared and then trust on Parliament about a month to the end of the year, and we are asked to process and pass it. This is the stage we have got to. After the debate, after the winding up, the minister has put across a prayer. Now, the prayer is not even to consult the whole House, but leadership. For me, we passed that stage. I'm prepared to put the question for you to decide whether we should accept the prayer of the Speaker. I don't decide for the House. Now, whatever decision you take, then we can move on to the question on the budget policy and principles. Then from there, the estimates will come for your consideration. Honorable members, the question is, yes, Minority Chief Whip.
Mr. Speaker, with the greatest of respect, you said the debate is ended. You are going to put a question. We are not very clear what the question is going to be on. Is it on the request of the minister or for the approval? We didn't get that clear. We'll be grateful if Mr. Speaker will reiterate what the question is going to be, so that we are very clear before we respond. Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker.
But if the question is not put, how can you be clear about the question? When I put the question, you'll be clear about the question. Those in favor of us granting the prayer of the minister for the House to give him the opportunity to engage further with the leaders, say aye. Those against, say no. Honorable members, I think the noes have it. Yes, Deputy Majority Leader. Deputy Majority Leader. You now have the floor.
Mr. Speaker, your ruling, in my opinion, does not reflect the voice votes. Accordingly, Mr. Speaker, I shall contend that under Order 113(2) of our rules, the decision should, Mr. Speaker, be subjected to a division, Mr. Speaker. And Mr. Speaker, in terms, as per my application, Mr. Speaker, fortified by the precedents. Mr. Speaker, I shall humbly pray you to consider the application in terms of the rules as relied on. I thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Honorable members, the ruling of the Speaker has been challenged under Order 113. Order 1131 says, when the question has been put by Mr. Speaker at the conclusion of the debate, the votes shall be taken by voices aye and no, provided that Mr. Speaker may, in his discretion, instead of declaring the result on the voice vote, call for a head count. 2, a member may call for head count or division if the opinion of Mr. Speaker on the voice vote is challenged. So the Deputy Majority Leader is right in his submission. He has challenged my decision and he's not asked for head count. He's called for division. The procedure for division is in Order 114. In the case of division, Order 1141, in the case of division, Mr. Speaker shall direct that the lobbies be cleared, and upon such direction being given, the division bells shall be rung for 1 minute. After a lapse of 2 minutes from this direction, he shall put the question, and Mr. Speaker shall declare whether in his opinion the ayes or noes have it. If his opinion is again opposed, he shall announce the names of 2 tellers for the ayes and 2 for the noes, and shall direct a division be held. 2, the names of members voting in the division in the House shall be recorded by division clerks immediately before members pass out from the ayes and noes lobbies. They shall be counted by the tellers as they pass out of the lobby doors. 3, the tellers shall, at the conclusion of voting, come to the table and give the figures to the clerk, who shall write them on the appropriate form. The clerk shall then report these numbers to Mr. Speaker, who shall announce them to the House and declare the result of the division. If the tellers disagree, the clerk shall report the fact to Mr. Speaker, who shall thereupon direct that another division be held. Four, members who are incapacitated by some physical infirmity from passing through the lobbies shall, upon reporting their incapacity to Mr. Speaker through the clerk, be counted and recorded accordingly in the House. If a member states that he voted in error or that his vote was counted wrongly, he may, immediately after Mr. Speaker has announced the figures and before he declares the result of division, claim to have his vote correctly recorded. 6, if the numbers in the division are equal, the motion shall be considered lost. That is the procedure with division. Now, this house, which is an improvised chamber, really don't have, we have to make do. But what I know as lobbies are not what we have here. But usually we make do with this behind the speaker's curtain wall. That is what we use. Those are not proper lobbies, but we have done it before. And so we will start, because you opted for a division, not a head count. That is a lengthy process, but Mr. Speaker has prepared to preside till any time. But the decision must be taken today, not any other day, today. So I direct Honorable, I direct that the lobbies be cleared. That's the first. Table office, clear the lobbies.
Ministers that are not MPs should go.
Honorable members, I direct further that the division bells be rung. Honorable Minority Chief Whip.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, as you clear the lobby, it's about time to vote. Mr. Speaker, as we are very conversant, ministers who are not members of parliament can participate in all activities except voting. Mr. Speaker, since it's time for voting, it is only proper, because of the nose marks, it is only proper before we start. Ministers who are not members of parliament, excuse us, because we are now going into the business of voting. And I'll be grateful, Mr. Speaker, you add that directive so that they can excuse us, because at this stage we are moving into voting and they have no role to play as we start the voting. Thank you very much.
Actually, that forms part of the directive to clear the lobbies. Because at this time, it's only for members of parliament who can vote. It's for only members, not those who come to participate but can't vote. And so the next process after the division bells are rung is for me to put the question again, to listen to the ayes and noes. That is the process, and that is the procedure. Yes, Deputy Majority Leader.
Mr. Speaker, I rise in terms of Order 111 of the Constitution. Article 111 of the Constitution.
Article 111 of the Constitution.
It is
yes.
Mr. Speaker, my colleague invited you to exercise a discretion, but he didn't invoke any order in our rules book, neither did he rely on the Constitution. But I am relying on the Constitution, Mr. Speaker, in contending that the fact that ministers and deputy ministers have no voting right does not suggest in any way, Mr. Speaker, with respect, that when we are voting, they must necessarily leave the chamber. Mr. Speaker, for the avoidance of that, I shall read the said article I rely on in extenso and verbatim. The Vice President, Mr. Speaker, with your leave, the Vice President, a minister or deputy minister who is not a member of Parliament shall be entitled to participate in the proceedings of Parliament and shall be accorded all the privileges of a member of Parliament, except that he is not entitled to vote or to hold an office in Parliament. Mr. Speaker, so Mr. Speaker has said in granting my application that there's going to be division. We're going to vote. It cannot be that for the first time we trying to introduce a new precedent. Mr. Speaker, the applicant on whose behalf we are proceeding in this direction is here. Unless the honorable member who invoked your discretion wants to suggest that his presence or the presence of ministers in this chamber would amount to interfering in the proceedings, or that he is also saying that because of COVID. Mr. Speaker, if it's all about COVID, then perhaps we have defied your order, because Mr. Speaker even said we could monitor proceedings from our own offices, and chairs, the seats were reduced. So, Mr. Speaker, I am saying that the presence of the ministers will not in any way affect the voting in the chamber. It will not. They are not going to participate in the voting process. And when the rule talks about clearing the lobby, it was clear where they are seated. They are not seated in the lobby. They are seated in the chamber of Parliament, the plenary sitting where they are participating in proceedings. And Mr. Speaker, I so humbly submit. I thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Honorable member, you got it all wrong. This is not the first time that the Parliament of the Fourth Republic has applied the procedure of division. This is not the first time. Once you challenge the voice vote, it means that what the Speaker heard is different from what you heard. And so you think that what you heard is that the yes had it, not the no's. Or the other way around, the no's had it, not the yes. So it's a voice vote. So when you decide to take a division, the intention of a division is to make sure that in repeating the voice vote again, there should not be any doubt as to the decision being taken by only members who are entitled to vote. That is why the lobby, when you talk about the lobby, it doesn't only include strangers. It also includes those who can be part of the debate, but who cannot be part of the decision taking. That is why you have to again repeat the question and listen to the voice vote again. If not, there will be no use to listen to the voice vote after all this elaborate procedure. So I stand by my decision. Those that are not members of Parliament, please, you are part of those who should be cleared. So we get only members of Parliament to participate in this decision. Very important. Honourable members, if we have a non-member of Parliament sitting here, I have the power under the orders to call on the marshal to get the person out of the house. Table office Have you rang the division bells? Division bell. Honorable members. Honorable members, honorable members, may I honorable members resume your seats. It looks desperation. The things desperation can do. As a leader. Honorable members, I want to. No! We are not fucking. Simple. No leave. Let me understand what is happening. Allow your leaders to cross your comment. And I
Right Honorable Member, as a member of parliament for the good people of him, if Asiedu Ketia doesn't work out of this chamber, nothing will go.
Asiedu Ketia is not going anywhere. Asiedu Ketia is not going anywhere today. Asiedu Ketia is in the balance. He has every right. We know you. You want to bring the coffee. Asiedu will leave. He must leave. We will not condone this something. What do you think you are? Nothing of what I say. You're just on your own. Let's go. Honorable members, honorable members, the request
Honorable members on the majority side, everybody should walk out. Let's walk out. Walk out. Walk out. Everybody, rise up and let's go. Rise up and let's go. Rise up, let's go. Honorable members,
almost.